It must be 9:30 on a Wednesday somewhere in the world. But if you're watching this internationally, welcome, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching it. Right, well, let's settle in, eyes down for a full house. Following on from last week's community, we were talking about how to get the perfect cushion. Now, let me just duck down out of here, pick this up, and guess what we're talking about today? Have you unplugged? We are talking, it's coming up, we're talking how to make the perfect cushion. Right, okay guys, can you lower it down now? Lower it down now. Lower it down, please. They're cutting me off. Yes, we have a new bench. Thank you to our new partners at BenchPal for our new height adjustable bench. Honestly, not only is it because I do a lot of my upholstery sat down because of my MS, but this bench is absolutely brilliant. If you chop and change between doing footstools and headboards and chairs, you don't know what the perfect height of bench to have. So get yourself a height adjustable bench. More news on that and the offers we have in the coming days and weeks. But first of all, like I said, today is all about taking a piece of foam and turning it into the cushion. But before all that, let me introduce, it's Susie's back already. So remember, if you have a question, I cut off there. If you have a question about anything, please type it in the chat box, put it in the WhatsApp group. Now, if you want to join the WhatsApp group, remember, this is the number you need. If you're not in it, where are you folks? Because the numbers are growing and the questions are coming in thick and fast. So the number here is again, if you want to join the ever-expanding WhatsApp group. Susie, where's the number?
Here we go. It's here. It's just here.
It is there. She's still loving meatloaf. That girl loves meatloaf. She really does. Right, remember, please get your questions coming in.
How are the dancing legs? Someone's asking me.
How's the dancing legs?
I'll tell you what, the legs are fine, but I'm not going to lie, the back is a bit sore. I've been struggling yesterday with a bit of a sore back. I think I might have pulled too many moves at the weekend.
Well, what happened was, we had one of those weekends where we managed to do 2 things of going out. Yes, that's not only one thing we did 2 things, which sometimes we don't even get to do one thing. So it was absolutely amazing. We went to see a couple of bands, Faithless, and then Ibiza Chatsworth. Incredible. And if the weather's amazing like it was at the weekend, you should definitely make a booking and go to it. And Susie never stopped dancing, unfortunately. I do a lot of sit-down dancing now, but, you know, it is what it is.
We did manage to get to the front though, didn't we?
We did manage to get to the front. Yes, I had a lot of security ushering people out of the way, but I got to the front nonetheless.
That's so true, Sharon. My mind is cashing checks, my body can't honour. That's
Yes.
so true.
I have to say as well, I know this is not upholstery related, but there was a woman in front of us. She must have been, there was a debate going on. Susie says late 60s.
I think she was late 60s, early 70s.
I'm going for
maybe.
mid-70s. And she never stopped dancing. And when I'm saying dancing, she wasn't just giving it this. She was jumping up and down. I would love to know how her hips were feeling on Monday morning. Because if they're not heard, I would love to know her secret. I would love to know her secret. Anyway, this is upholstery related. We're supposed to be chatting, not about me and Susie's social life. Because let's face it, this week's complete. No, we're going to another gig this weekend. Anyway, right. Let's talk stockinette. And honestly, I would like to know what your theories on and how you go about it. Because the thing about community is all about sharing. We're supposed to share it. It's not supposed to be the Anthony and Susie show. It's supposed to be, I've got this really good idea. I'll share it with you. Has anybody got an idea on how to do this? So please, if you have anything you want to share, share away. Have we got any questions coming in yet, Susie?
No, just somebody I think is new to the group. It's Hannah Wozniak, actually, off of the ministry days.
Oh,
and she's just asking about where is the actual WhatsApp number, because obviously she's not joined before. She doesn't realise that it's going to be in post-production.
Right.
So I'm just changing it.
Right. So for those people who join live and thinking Anthony's pointing at absolutely nothing, because we don't have a whole production team upstairs in the gallery going, go Anthony, go Anthony. I don't obviously wear any earpiece, and no director is talking into me here, because I am the director, I am the cameraman, I am the whatever person presses the button to make things go. Right? Susie over here is answering all your questions. So in the chat box, whichever side of the screen it is, you can type in questions and we can get Susie to read them out, and somewhere between all of it we can read them out and understand it. Now, when we come to do stuff like this, what that means is, after this is finished, I then sit with my headphones on and put all the pictures on, and I put all the writing on and everything that pops up on the screen. So remember, if you want to see the finished thing, you can head over to our YouTube channel. Remember to like and subscribe to the videos, because that helps us support us. And that's where you'll see the finished thing. Now, if anybody has any tips or hints to make these videos look better, if they want to send their children here for their work experience to make this all look more polished, you're absolutely welcome.
We do have a question now.
Good, because I was filling. We've also tightened up all the microphone stands so they don't fall off again.
Oh,
and
yeah.
hopefully our sound is better this week. So yes, right.
So we have a question about ply grip from last week.
Oh, okay.
So somebody had an unsuccessful attempt using it last night. I think there were too many layers of fabrics and limited width of wood to staple to. Is it just better to sew in this case, or any tips for removing the bulk first?
How many layers of fabric? Because you should only be putting one layer into the ply grip.
It was me.
I've
unmuted myself.
Oh, hi Nicola.
Hi. So it was dining room chairs I was trying to put it on the back of last night. So I think I had like the Hessian layer, and then I got a calico layer, and then I had the fabric layer, and it just seemed to be too much for the staples to go into, and it just didn't. The staples just kept coming out.
Okay, so
maybe I need to
what wood, first of all, what wood were you stapling into?
It was just the back of the dining room chair. I just think it was small.
So like sometimes if you're stapling into like the side edge of things like OSB or kind of chipboard, because of the way the wood is made up, that's kind of like the less dense side. So sometimes the staples will come out quite easily on that. Thing is, I always carry two sizes of staples. When you're doing regular things with like leather, because leather's so thick, and then by the time you get multiple layers of thick, sometimes the 10mm staple just simply doesn't cut it.
Yeah,
it's just not long enough.
I think
right? So what I would suggest...
10mm, is the problem.
What I would definitely suggest is opting for a 12mm staple. Sometimes if you've got an inside back and you're folding it over, then you're putting a pleat in it, you've got two thicknesses already. Then if you come to put a piping on, you've got two more thicknesses, because you've got the piping folded over, and then you've got an outside back to then staple on. So what are we up to? 2 for the inside, 2 for the piping. You've got 5 layers of fabric, and rightly so, you're saying you've still got Hessian, and if your fabric is not fire retardant, or you're because it's a natural fibre, then you might also have like the fire insulator barrier cloth, or the wool safe barrier cloth. So that's another couple of layers on top of that. So you really have got quite a thick layer. And as much as you try and reduce everything out of it, you are still going to have layers. Susie, can you let Sharon in, please? So I would say reduce as much out there, and that's where having a good pair of quality scissors really, really count, because it will be all about the tips of your scissors when you're trying to cut that waste out. So, if the 10mm staple's not cutting it, I would definitely consider going up to a 12mm staple, and then that should do the trick. But going into the ply grip, you will only, or you should ever have, only the fabric, face fabric that you're seeing, and possibly, well, not even the calico, because the calico you can staple down first. Should only be one layer of fabric.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I had piping as well, so that's another layer I had as well. So I probably had about 4 layers, so I probably just need to try and reduce the bulk and I was
Reduce the bulk and increase the staple length.
Using, so probably need to try and get a longer staple. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, we've got plenty of 12mm staples here. If you only need a couple of strips, we can bung some in the post to you.
I think I did buy 14mm, but they didn't fit my...
14mm. Yeah, because your standard upholstery staple gun, wherever my gun is, will take anything from 4mm staples right up to kind of 16. It should tell you...
Okay.
On the gun, ours are Senko guns, but it should tell you on the inside part of the gun here what the staple range is. Let me just double check. Ours goes from 6mm to 16mm.
Oh, right, okay.
So basically, you've got your 6mm for when you're doing your facings, right up to your big boy staples for when you're doing multiple layers, like possibly carpet or leather.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Pleasure. Let me know how you get on and report back. Susie, any more?
Well, we have a question that I think you're going to answer today. Anyway, how to neatly add stockinette to a cushion. Somebody has tried overlocking, but just ends up with holes.
Right, well, we are going to go and do that now. Right, so let's talk stockinette, but before we do all of that, let me run all my cameras so we don't lose you. But run yours as well, Susie, we don't want to lose you. Thank you very much. Right, so, couple of things you're going to need here, right? Number one, run down to Tesco's or another shop and get yourself a non-serrated knife, right? Non-serrated, so no jaggy bits on your knife. Personally, I really think a non-serrated knife is the best knife for when it comes to cutting foam. The next thing you want to do is always keep your knife free of glue. Okay, so you can see how clean my knife is, not polished clean, I'm talking like no scuds on it, right? So if it's getting glue on it because of it's coming into contact with messy things, always keep your knife clean. Just use a bit of Terps or white spirit and just clean it all up, and that way it's going to take the friction off it. The next thing is what you're going to want to help you do anything around cutting foam is you need something that's going to remove all the friction out of it, and that comes in the case of silicone. Silicone, be careful, this comes with a health warning. Not only do you want to use it in an obvious ventilated space and don't breathe it in, but silicone makes everything slippy. So if you've got a concrete floor, or you've got a polished floor, or a laminate floor, be very careful with the overspray of this. Even though you're spraying it onto your bench, when it hits the atmosphere, it's going to go and settle elsewhere. So just be careful with this, because if you've ever stood on a diesel in a forecourt of a petrol station, you know how slippy it is. This is exactly the same. This will have you stood up like a newborn Bambi, or with me without my walking sticks, right? I will be straight over. However, if like Susie, you're going out dancing at the weekend and you're going to a dance floor and you want to bust some shapes, right, or possibly your hip, then spray this on the bottom of your shoes. Or if you're going sledging, wrong time of year for it, but for those people in the southern hemisphere, if you're ever going sledging, spray this on the bottom of it. So what you want to do is just get your knife and simply just spray your knife, and that will then take all the friction out of it.
Can we go back to knives for a second? Because I've got a question. Is that knife better than a foam cutting knife, for example, or like that you can get from
Let's talk. This knife probably costs less than a tenner, and a foam cutting knife can cost inwards and upwards of, you know.
At what point do you need to invest in a foam cutting knife then?
You don't. I mean, those Bosch cutting knives are absolutely mega, right? But I see people using them and I'm like, that is a 240 volt cable. Why have you got that dangling around close to where you're cutting it? And you see people, and like when we use our big straight knife cutter, so it's like the ultimate kebab cutter and it cuts along there, by law you have to wear a chainmail glove. Now, I've never seen an upholsterer upholster without their fingers, because you need fingers to upholster with, right? So don't go chopping them off by doing something rushed, reckless, or you haven't got a clue what you're doing. So please, for the love of God, be careful when it comes to using knives, right? But don't think, oh, well, I won't get a sharp knife because I'm worried about cutting with it, because it won't cut. You do need sharp things, but you just need common sense. Talking of sharp things, how do you sharpen one of these knives, right? The best thing to do is get yourself one of these, right? This is off the Amazon, and it's called AnySharp, right? The good thing about this is it'll stick directly to your sewing machine. You stick it down, and then you just pass your knife, you know, 3 or 4 times through, like so, right? All the way from the heel, I think it's called the heel, to the tip, like so, right? And that'll keep your knife mega sharp. I would suggest buy one for your workshop, one for your kitchen. Once you've got a sharp knife, we are ready to start. Now, here is my cushion, okay? As you can see, this has already had Dacron on it, because this was once upon a time a student's cushion, and it's our demo cushion.
So just ask, can you sharpen your scissors with that as well?
No. Scissors only get a professional to sharpen your scissors. And remember, if you don't know where to sharpen your scissors, the next time you go for a new barnet, ask your hairdresser, excuse me, where do you get your scissors sharpened? And they will be able to answer it. So yes, don't sharpen your own scissors. It will only end badly. Right, now, back to the cushion. So we have the foam here, like so. First thing we've got to do is you want to be able to know where the front, the back, and the sides are of the foam after you've cut it, okay? Or you've had it measured and had it cut by somebody else. And this is just for reference. Now, I always tell my students to write zip on it. Now, where you can see the word zip is there, right? So we have zip here. Now, here's my top tip. Okay. Don't put the word zip on the back of your cushion, because we don't put Dacron on the backs of cushions. So when your customer opens the cushion up for whatever reason, you know, this doesn't scream quality to you. It doesn't scream quality, having the word big zip written on there, okay? It might solve the job, but it doesn't scream quality. So what I would always suggest is you're trying to distinguish which is the zip side. I would always write zip here, okay? Because that is going to get covered with Dacron, whereas that on the back side of it is not going to get covered, and it looks forever messy. Susie, did you have something you wanted to?
Yeah, so somebody's asking about, it's an actual manual foam cutting blade, which I've never seen. It's from Livedale. So essentially it's a kitchen knife, and it's only £9. And they're asking, is that better or the same as?
Now, that is actually quite good. It's from Live. Can't diss people on here, Anthony. I don't really rate Livedale because I think the customer services isn't the best, right? Okay, I did put that out there on YouTube. Now, the good thing about that knife is, let me see if I can hold it up to camera. Yeah. Right, thank you to whoever just sent this in.
Hannah.
Oh, well done, Hannah. That is what the foam knife looks like, actually. And it is £9 VAT. I don't know if that is plus VAT or minus. Got the VAT included in it, who knows. But there it is. Right, the good thing about that knife is that the difference between that knife and this knife, I've never really been a fan of this knife because it's really quite bowed. So basically, when you start cutting it something straight, if you cut into it, you see how the middle of the knife touches it first. The good thing about that knife is it's really nice, long and straight. So which means it comes to even contact with your foam. To be honest,
Probably worth it then for £9.
I'm sure you can buy it somewhere else for £9, if not a little bit cheaper.
But in terms of the shape of the knife, we're looking.
But
for
in terms of the
something
shape
more-
of the knife, it's absolutely brilliant. Is that serrated or non-serrated?
No, it's non-serrated. Yeah, so it looks like it would be a good shout, or that's the kind of shape of blade you'd be looking for.
Yes,
if you were
but
buying one.
if you don't want to go and spend the £9, just find a knife in your kitchen drawer. You've always got like that, or just go to a charity shop. Go to a charity. I don't know if charity shops still sell knives if they're allowed to. Once upon a time they could have. If not, Tesco's, Amazon, somewhere like that. Buy yourself a long, straightest knife as possible. Straighter the knife, longer the knife, the more even the cuts. Right, so what we've done is we've marked on the cushion where we want the zip. There is a purpose for that. Now, the next thing is we want to cover our cushion with Dacron, okay? The Dacron is basically there. It's going to make a nice shape to your cushion, and it's going to just have a little bit of softness added to it. Now, I have my Dacron. I've opted for a 6-ounce Dacron. If you haven't got the 6-ounce Dacron, you can simply use a 2-ounce Dacron 3 times. You don't always, being a small one-man, one-woman a band, it's really hard, as you know, for storage, for cost, to have absolutely everything you need. You'll always need a 2-ounce Dacron because that is, as standard, goes over your foam. But if you're struggling for space, you can't afford a 2-ounce roll of Dacron and a 6-ounce roll of Dacron. So if you don't have that, just simply use, it's not the most cost-effective way of doing it. You know, buying a 6-ounce Dacron is a little bit cheaper. But if you don't have it, just simply wrap around a 2-ounce Dacron, gluing in between. And that way, you're still on board. Right, so first thing, I have cut a piece of 6-ounce Dacron, long enough to be able to go around and over the top of my cushion, around the front of the cushion, and then long enough that it comes right to the back of my cushion. And I've simply cut that off the roll. So the first thing I'm going to do is I've also, for the purposes of the quick changeover that we have to do, because I've got my drum footstool course, my foundation course, straight after. We've got about a 15-minute changeover gap. It even beats Ryanair, that does. We've got a small window where we have to change everything over. So doing that, and not only that, for the protection of my table, because my table's lovely and carpeted, I have just got a piece of Dipro underneath my cushion. Dipro is merely pence per metre, okay? So use Dipro or something, or get a board that you like have as a glue board, just so you don't get glue, or maybe you're not as messy as me, just so you don't get glue everywhere. Right, the next thing you're going to need is spray adhesive. I'm way preferring this brand, the EcoTac. Okay, we got it from Peter Cook International, or Peter Cook, Petco. Because it's better for the environment, it's better for your lungs, and out of everything that says it's green, okay, it's actually sticks. So, super sticky, in fact, it says it is, but it is genuinely good. Few quid a can, right? Get yourself some of this. Give it a good shake. The next thing let's get the lid off, Anthony, there we go, is always ensure when you're finished with your glue, really what you should do is apparently spray it upside down for a second, and then that way it won't clog up the nozzle. Now, what happened to me the other day, first time in my upholstery career, I was spraying this, I took my finger off the lid, off the cap, and it was still continued to spray, because for some reason it got glue all the way around the inside of it, right? And it continued to spray for about a further 3 seconds. Now, I wasn't expecting that, and by the time you stop gluing, you take your hand off it, take your finger off it, and you just put it down like so, and it was still squishing everywhere. So just be mindful. I've never came across it before, but for every time I press my glue, I'm now going to consider, oh, what happens if it continues to spray when I take my finger off it, right? Just my experience. Now, what we want to do is glue all the way around our edges. Now, it's really important to glue the edges of the cushion. Right. So front and back, and a little bit in the middle. Now, because this is a double contact adhesive, we need to spray the Dacron too. Okay. All the way up to the edges. There's no need to rush this, because the longer you leave it, the more tackier the glue gets. Basically, what's happening now is that all those chemicals are starting to flash off, and the glue is getting more stickier. However, right, you can peel it back, but with Dacron, it's going to start going off quite quickly. Right, now, I'm going to spin my cushion around. Okay, I've got it glued at the back where the zip is, remember? I'm now taking my Dacron back and folding it back to here, and I'm going to continue doing all down the front edge. Like so. And my Dacron. And then I simply just bring that Dacron forward, and then I glue this part. And then pull it over. Make sure you're not gluing any wrinkles. And also, not only am I smoothing this all out, I'm also checking to make sure I haven't picked up any debris, because, well, or needles or the regulators or anything in there. Right, then what I'm doing is I'm coming to the front of my cushion, and as you can see it on here, this is my front of my cushion. Make sure we've got no lumps in there. Not the silicone, Anthony, that will only make things slippy. And that's another thing. I know people that have accidentally picked up silicone thinking it's glue, and that's only going to make things slippy. But I've also seen people pick up glue thinking it was silicone, and when they come to spray their sewing machine, they've sprayed glue all over it rather than silicone. Right, now take this, and you want to get it so it's just coming over like so. That's my front of my cushion, and now I'm going to just flip it over. And I knew this wouldn't work. Let's get this out of the way. There's all my measurements. Well, not my measurements. Glue in place again. All down that way. Stick it on. Back with the Dacron. little bit up, fling it round. Tight, making sure you put no wrinkles in it. Right, that in there, bring it round, make sure it's tight. Right, one cushion Dacron. Now, what I'm going to do, the next thing you need...
You must move that dip roll.
Yeah, well, just cut it off. Yes, is the answer, Susie. Cut it off. Right, so next, what we're going to do is I'm going to use an old pair of scissors. New pair of scissors, old pair of scissors, right? Not using your new good scissors, using an old pair. Doesn't mean they're not sharp, okay? What it means is you don't mind getting them all clogged up and then cleaning them again, okay? So next, what we're doing is I'm cutting against the side of the cushion. Here's my Dacron. So we've got my Dacron is here, right? That's glued to the top, and now I'm cutting against it. Just taking my time, making sure my scissors are staying flat against my cushion. Right, now what's important is, because you've glued right up to the edge, yeah, because you've glued right up to the edge, your Dacron's staying right on the edge. Some people prefer to bring it over the edge and just glue it on this side. Up to them, whatever you prefer. Try it both ways, make your own minds up. Right, now I'm going along this side. And making sure my scissors are staying straight and not cutting any into it, just off it. Right, so we don't ever have Dacron on the back or on the sides, in my opinion. The only time I would ever put Dacron on the sides is if I have maybe an open arm chair and I want a kind of softer look on it. But to be honest, I mainly just put it on the back and the sides. Now, all I've got to do now is cut this bit off. If anybody's got any questions, please unmute yourself or simply put them in to the chat box and Susie will read them out.
We have got a question about glue. You know when you can get glue that you can spray out in those big spray things that we were looking at that time.
Canisters.
Yeah. Is it... So Hannah is saying that she's asthmatic, so she finds it a struggle spraying the glue. Even with the eco glue, she still finds it difficult. Is there a better? Are those a better alternative because they're more precise, or is there a better alternative?
Yes, they are better for the environment on the fact that, you know, think how many pressurized cans you're chucking out every week. So yes, they are better in the environment that way. I don't know with the style of the actual spray whether that would help like kind of alleviate that bit of, you know, when you spray glue you can taste it on the back of your throat.
I think the idea of those is from a point of view of not using throwaway canisters.
I would say it's the fact that you reduce the amount of canisters.
Yeah.
But we've weighed up the option. There is another company, we can't really make any headway with them because they're a bit science-based, but there's a company called Tenza glue and adhesive, and they're supposed to be even better again. What I would do, and they would probably take great pleasure in explaining to you, about it. So it's Tenza glue, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm just putting it on the chat so people can see how it's spelled.
Yeah.
And also, she's said about people putting on glue with a brush. I've never. Have you known that?
Like back in the day when it was used.
I posted it in the Upholsterers Friendly forum about, what kind of eco alternatives, and some people are saying that they're now using like a PVA mix that they put on with a brush.
I don't know. I couldn't possibly comment on that. Yeah. I know there'll be a split in the industry between, that's not the way we do it, Sonny, those people, and then you'll have the other people that go in, this is no good because this isn't very quick, give me my spray back. And then there'll be other people going, I don't really care for speed, I really want to make the best job I can with the less impact to the environment. So you're always going to get noise around things like this. The best thing to do is just work out what's best for you. And then if the haters are going to hate and judge you,
I mean, if it does the job and if you're asthmatic, then absolutely.
I mean, I know it's easier to stand up and make chairs. It's so much easier, right? Because chairs are tall and so are we, and it's easier to be able to reach to the top. I can't. But because I can't stand up and upholster anymore, does that mean I should just hang up a staple gun? Nope, I should just find a different way to do it. So a bit like you, if you've got asthma and you can't use glue because it really affects you, just block out every namesayer and hater saying, no, you can't do it like this, can't do it like that. If it works and it delivers the result, might take a little bit longer, might cost a few quid more, just do it. Just do it. Right.
Like any air purifiers or anything? Have you ever used anything like that you would recommend?
No, but when I recovered a chair in here, which was the chair that instigated me buying a multi-tool, I've never worn dust masks before, and I've never worn it just because I've always had to suffer the pain of the wrong height bench. I've always suffered this, and I should have worn this, and I should have done that, right? And we know we should do these things, but we just don't. Okay? Susie went off and bought me a dust mask, and in the next day, right? The next day, because we have all the overhead cameras, we basically have trussing that's all in our ceiling that we suspend down to hang everything off. It was covered in dust. Right? And I walked in and thought, crikey, all that crap would have been in my lungs if I hadn't worn it. Then I watched a program the other day, and it was all about a child, and the parents were trying to do the best for them because they had loads of allergies, and they were using air purifiers in the house. And they went, here's the filter, and they pulled the filter out, and it's like, when vacuums, like Dyson for the first ones to make like clear vacuum cleaners so you can see the crap you get out of your carpet. It was like that. And I was like, oh my God, wow. You don't see this stuff in the atmosphere, but you're breathing it in. Now, I don't know if, air purifiers would do the job of that, but with my MS, I've took every action possible to make it better by the way I conduct myself. So if you're atmospheric, if you're asthmatic, I would definitely consider getting an air purifier because I was really shocked by it. So just do what you can, and like I say, block out the haters. Right, the next thing we've got is this stockinette. This is the thing that I was talking about. Me and Una both agreed at Christmas time we want to jump through those rings. This is it. Right? This is also the best, the quickest thing for all your fancy dress parties when it comes to Halloween if you want to be a mummy. Right? I've worn it many, many, many times. Right, so basically it's stockinette. There is no different sizes to this that I'm aware of. It's just a one size fits all, and it just goes over your cushion. Now, what you can do is I always put this on side by side. Like, it's just a massive like pair of Big Daddy's pants. Right, just stretchy. So what we do is we go over sideways over the cushion. Like so. And what you want to do is make sure you're not rucking up all your nice Dacron you've glued on the edges. And that's why you pay special attention to making sure we don't rock up, and we make sure we go straight to the edges. The other thing I'll do, as you will see me, is I'm not cutting anything off this, right? I'm not prejudging my length I need because it is super stretchy. All right, so get some of that. I'm going to spin it around.
So you've still got the other end of that on the roll.
Yeah,
haven't you?
still got the other end on the roll. That's it. And you want it to come side to side, not front to back. Alright, now flip it over. And then this is the part. So when we say, how do we finish it? Let me just get my camera into place. How do we finish it? Right, this cushion has already been slit. So what you would do next
I just need focusing slightly. That
is
camera.
get your knife. And we're good.
That's better.
Right, get your knife with sharpened, all cleaned, all siliconed up. The next thing you would do is you get silicone and you spray it into the side of the cushion like so, because you want less friction on both glue and this. Get your knife, start in the middle, and you're just going to poke it in 2 inches, okay? And then you take it and you slit it one side, and you go about 2 or 3 inches from the edge, like so. Flip over the knife and you simply work back again. Now the easiest way to slit it is using, oh hold on, see it? Do all of that, slit it all of that. You need to turn the cameras on. Right, slit all the way back again, all the way to the edge, and then continue down to about 2 or 3 inches away from that edge. Then what we've got is a big hole like so. Then what we're going to do is take the stockinette, make sure we've got enough of it around that this can all fit in. Just test it. Right, we're good. Now, where did that dipper go? Right, then shake the glue again. Make sure your glue is all clear of the nozzle. I'm just going to put my dipper down again to save my bench. Then open up. You're going to just spray your glue in. Right, now, no need to rush, no need to panic about this glue into that. Take this, fold it over, and then poke it in. Poke it in. Bring it around the corner. Poke it in. Obviously I'm doing this a bit more quicker than you would spend a tip. Right. You would make that as tidy as you possibly can. Right, like so. And then what you do, right Cam, and just get some more glue. I would possibly cut all of this out as well. Right? And then get it in and glue it shut. Like so. Like I say, cut all the excess off. Right, now, what I would do after that, top camera Susie, just put it on the tablet. Right, then, take your cushion around, take your other part of the cushion here, and this is the part, right, let me just move back a bit in my chair, because this is the shaky part. Camera 2.
Yeah, it's on.
It's not. Turn it off. Turn it back on again slowly. Right? Then push this. Right. Get your cushion, hold it like so, and shake. And you want to keep on shaking this for a minute. Right? Shaky, shaky, shaky. And then what will happen is, on the back edge of your cushion, here, what happened is we're shaking it, it is slowly and softly rounded all those edges off. And see how my Dacron is staying exactly on the edge. It's not rocking up here, okay? It's not all like up here, down here and everything. It's all nicely done, right? So then, take the cushion, shake it. You see how it's nicely rounding off the edges here? Okay? Then what you're going to do, take your stockinette, cut it all off, get into position again. And get your dipper up. Make it all nice and tidy. And then simply repeat as before. So fold all this back. Make sure your Dacron is staying on all your edges. Okay? Here's your slip. Glue it in. Take it in the middle first. Open it up. Poke it in.
Would you ever wear gloves when you're doing this?
No.
No.
Can't stand wearing gloves.
Because you can't feel it.
I just don't like it. I just don't like wearing gloves doing pretty much anything apart from, you know, protecting my lovely soft hands when moving rubble or cutting the roses. I don't do any of those things, let's face it. Yeah. Doing the dishes because we don't use very liquid. I say cut all the excess off, but you get the idea. And I think this is the quickest, easiest and best way, although it doesn't look great on this bit here. We cut all that off. Right.
This is like where you need Blue Peter, isn't
This
it?
is
Where
where
you
you
need
need
like
Blue
one you've
Peter.
made before.
What I might do is I might finish it lovely, but that's the half you want to worry about. But you can see that now makes a more finished cushion, and when that's all glued and stuck, right, go back to it because it's now had time to flash off. You can see by just pinching it, it's now closing up the hole There is no way you are going to ever make a cushion that looks, you know, like that. You're always going to have some sort of finish with it. Like this bit here, I would definitely be chopping off the majority of that and then tucking it in. You want it to get it looking like this. This, between that bit and that bit, is the kind of the finish I would be happy with. Everything here, I would be just tucking in, cutting off all the excess, then poking it all in. But, in summary, cut all your excess off, tuck it all in, but pay special attention to making sure that your Dacron is glued right up to the edges, and that way you will have a nice cushion. So Dacron on the top, Dacron on the front, Dacron underneath. I prefer to do this in one continuous piece. I don't prefer to stick a bit on the front, because I think actually with all the movement of people sitting on it and that cushion, that can peel away, right? Even if it's a box cushion and it has a border around here and a border around the sides, I still prefer to do it this way, just because of the friction and the movement of it. It will start to peel. Pay special attention to the top to make sure that it's glued right to the edges. Otherwise, on top of your cushion, you're going to have all of this wrinkling. Right? The reason we don't, if I go to the back now, you can see where it still says zip. It just doesn't look great, does it? Customer opens it up and it just got the big word zip on it. Put it up on the top, somewhere discreet, just so you know which is your front. It may be a slightly tapered cushion. Could be 20 inches at the front, it could be 19 at the back. To the naked eye, it's not that obvious, but you needed to do it anyway. So you need to identify this. We don't put Dacron on the back, because remember, when you're going on holiday and your clothes are bulging out of that case and you're trying to zip it up, if you've got Dacron on the back, it's just going to add to the bulk and bulge out. That's why we keep it here. Otherwise, you've got a straight, your inside back's going to sit against it, yeah. And the reason you don't want a rounded back, because if you've got a rounded back, this is the furthest distance here, and you're going to create a gap or a gully in your inside back where stuff can fall down. Does anybody have any questions?
We have had some questions
About the cushion.
about how to measure a seat space for foam.
Oh, right. Well, that's been done 50 million times by 50 million different ways. And when I say things, I don't talk about the gospel, right? I don't say this is the gospel way you've got to do this, okay? Everybody, can you let Wes in, please? Everybody will have their own ways of doing everything, and that's okay. You can beg, borrow, and steal from people's ideas. Please borrow my ideas, please advance my ideas, take my ideas going forward and think, right, I'll add a bit of salt and pepper on that idea and I'll make it even better, okay? So, how do you measure for a cushion? Now, the way I do it is I measure the internal parts of my arms, okay? So, first of all, I'll measure at the back of the furthest part of my chair closest to the inside back, and I'll measure that gap and say if it's hypothetically 19 inches or whatever in centimeters, I would then cut it at 20 inches, okay? The reason I cut it at 20 inches, I'll come to it in a second, and then I come to the front, okay? If that's 21 inches, I would then cut that at 22 inches. To measure front to back, I would find the center of the chair, inside back. I would work out the height of the cushion, because I don't measure on the seat platform, I always come up. So, because what happens is, your inside back, see inside back rails here, it comes up like a bit of a tummy, and then goes up like that. So if you're measuring in this part here, that's much further than it is when it touches the closest or the closest bit to the front of your cushion, right? So I would do that. Now, if your inside back is lovely and rounded, if you put a square back cushion against something that's lovely and rounded, Like, so here's my square cushion, but my inside back is curved, touches here, and then curves away again. You're going to have gaps here and here. Okay, so what I would consider doing is putting like a bit of a, would that be a crescent? Would that be called? A shape on it, or wings, little back wings on it, like so. That way your cushion is going to hug in all the right places. So then I would take measurements front to back at the sides. Now, here is the kind of also the point. How much overhang do you have, if at all, on the front of a cushion versus onto your chair? So if your chair's here, how much overhang do you want on the front of the seat? Again, there is no gospel truth on this. So check this out the next time you go to garden centres and next time you go to furniture shops, because there is a difference. Conservatory furniture, you know, like the kind of rattan furniture, rattan, should I say, not roton, rattan furniture, always stops flush. Front of the furniture, front of the cushion. Don't know why, right? But if you go to a furniture shop, they'll always have a little overhang of a cushion when it comes to upholstery chairs. Now, here's the thing. This part can be bespoke to your customer. If I had an older, more mature customer and they were having a box cushion on it and they were having piping on it, I would always comment and say, do you have a problem with circulation, or do you feel as if your cushion, I'd put it better this way, and mask it in there a bit better, I won't be so blasé. Do you have a problem with your circulation being old? I would phrase it a bit better. I would say, do you have any troubles with the cushions you've got now, digging into the backs of your legs? That kind of thing, right? But what I'm trying to ascertain is that cushion a bit too long for them? Are they got piping in there? If it's cutting into the backs of the legs, what we can offer you is a bullet nose cushion. So a fabric that goes up, round, around the front and continuously underneath. That way it's a bit softer on the backs of your legs. Or if you don't want that, what we can do is a box cushion, but just take away that piping that's going to dig into the back of your legs. Or what we can do is, when it comes to upholstery, we normally have a bit of an overhang with the cushion. We can slightly bring that back so it doesn't cut into the backs of your legs. Right? So there is a bit of movement with all of this. What I would say is I normally have about an inch overhang. Okay? So when I measure front to back, I would apply the inch overhang that I want plus yet another inch. Okay? So we're an inch wider and an inch longer than the length we want, and then I would use that, I would cut my fabric being to those measurements, and I would cut my foam exactly to those measurements too. Then when I'm sewing, as we all know, we use 1/2 inch seam allowances. So on the sides I would lose 1/2 inch, and on the other side I would lose 1/2 inch. So that's my inch taken up side to side. Front to back, I would have 1/2 inch seam allowance at the back, 1/2 inch seam allowance at the front. If I'm doing a box cushion, not if you're doing a bullet nose, okay? So they would be, I'd lose 1/2 inch on all sides, so it would shrink down to the perfect measurement, touching arm to arm, front to back. Now my cushion foam is still that inch bigger, but when you put it in, what that's doing is going, right, you're trying to squeeze me into this tight cushion case. I'm trying to bust my way out, filling all corners of your cushion and making it nice and full. If you make it to the same size as your cushion, it's a bit like, oh, there's enough room to party in here, right? That's often what I think. But if your cushion's bigger, it fits in there really nice and snug, and we're going to show you how to fill a cushion with the cushion cover and make it all nice and easy, and then get rid of that bananing. But your cushion wants to start oversized, in my humble opinion, to what your cushion case is. Does that answer your question? Whose question was it?
About the
thank
size
you,
of the
Anna.
phone. Yes, it was Una's.
Ah, very good. Very
Do
good.
you have another question? But I don't know if you've got time.
Right, quick. We
So
started late,
cost
so we're
and
finishing
time
late.
benefits of cutting and wrapping your own foam versus buying foam cut and wrapped to size.
The quickest way of doing it is being able to pivot as an upholsterer. Okay, you know, it might be not. You might be using already the existing cushion from the job. You just freshen it up by putting new stockinette and new Dakar on it. So you know you might already have it. It's okay to glue two pieces of foam together to get your required thickness of foam. Some people would want a nice dome on the cushion. So for instance, they would have a piece of 2 inch and then in the middle of it, they would glue a smaller piece of 1 inch. So you have a border all the way around, and then they would cut another piece of 2 inch to go on the top and then Dakar unwrap it. And what that would give is a lovely kind of dome to it. So, you know, you're more in control. Now, if you're buying your foam in pre-made, brilliant, right? You're not going to mess up your workshop. You don't have to buy stockinette because let's face it, that whole roll, I don't know how much is on it, 50 meters minimum, probably a lot more than that. You know, you're buying a lot of stock to do one cushion. All that stock's going back in the cupboard, and the money's never going back in the bank because it's in the cupboard, right? So there is the benefit to that. However, you are paying carriage, and something of that size, you know, of this size, you could be paying £10, you could be paying 20 quid, you could be paying 30 quid for all these cushions. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's up to you, but personally, I like to be in direct control of what I'm doing and when I'm doing it. Unless I was doing a big job, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cushions, I would think, what the hell, I am not spending my time wanting to make all of these cushions. I'm going to simply outsource it.
Would you always buy the foam for a cushion pre-cut to the cushion size? You wouldn't buy a sheet, would you, and cut it to the size, or would you?
Again, what you've got, the problem there is, if you're making a cushion for a chair, okay, you need the foam sheet. You buy a foam sheet, you take a nibble out of the cushion for the cushion, and then you're left with all that foam. You've had to pay all that money out to buy the foam. You've only used, 1/8 of the foam. You're only charging the customer 1/8 of the price of the foam. Take the money from the customer, pay your suppliers, and you're wondering why you're never making any money until you step into your store cupboard and you're like, wow, that's where all the money is, because I needed that job, that for that job, I needed that for that job, and I needed that for that job. And you've got lots of stuff in your store cupboards and you're thinking, I've got no space, I need to start moving out of here, I can't move. What it is you've just got a store full of cupboard full of cash. So if you're doing it rarely and you're only making, seat cushions once in a blue moon, consider taking the slightly more expensive option of paying to have your cushion pre-cut. Whether you're Dakar wrapping in it after, well, that's up to you. But, consider paying a little bit more for not having a store cupboard full of stuff, but money in the bank. And not only that, it'll really help with the pricing of your jobs if you know that cushion is going to cost you X amount of money from that supplier, rather than buying a sheet of foam and thinking, right, what's 1/8 of this sheet of foam costing? Any more, Susie?
We have no more on the chat, no more on the WhatsApp.
How are we doing for time?
Oh, it's 22.
22, right. That's it. Somehow, stockinette and cushion making managed to sneak in before the multi-tool. We still have people screaming out, Anthony, you promised me multi-tool. Multi-tool's coming next week. We'll answer all your questions. So if you've got a question about multi-tools and stripping furniture. What's the best way? What's the quickest way? What's the worst way? We'll cover all of that in next week's community. If you've got any questions, please get them in. If you're using a multi-tool, please send a video in and we can show people how people are doing it. If you've tried it and you don't like it, remember you can always put your point across. So remember, get your questions in. The telephone number's here if you want to join a WhatsApp group. You can email studio@anthonydevine.online. You can follow us across any of our social media. You remember, if you're going onto our YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. And you can always give us a call or pop in and see us here at Torvale Mill in the heart of the Peak District. Right, thank you so much for today. I hope it was really useful. Remember, this is your community, so we want to hear from you. Have a great week, and we'll see you all again next week. Say goodbye, Susie.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you very much. Have a great week, and we'll see you all.